Hey guys, I'm Comire, and have you ever noticed when some games go from 2D to 3D, it might not look 100% right. Super Mario 64 added a shadow under you. Pac-Man World had platforms. Tetris used a sphere. Worms 3D let you put a bullet right between the eyes. Sonic gave us a bat with tits. It's a mixed bag. Well, this is Start Select, and we're working out how a game can enter the next dimension. The World Ends of You on Nintendo DS uses 2D graphics to present a mystery in Shibuya, Japan about death, friendship, and animals with tribal back tattoos. Neo The World Ends of You is its sequel but narrative prequel that uses 3D graphics to basically do the same thing, but sometimes something new. How does Neo evoke and evolve the first game? Well, like the lawsuit against the plastic surgeon that made Sharon Osbourne's face look like that? Let's start with how it looks. The first game and Neo share an unmistakable, unapologetic manga art style in the main cast, passing pedestrians, and monsters called Noise that look like if Gaia Online was actually as cool as it tried to be. Despite Neo having 3D models, speech occurs between expressive drawings tossing speech bubbles at each other, and overheard conversations jigsaw large areas of the screen thanks to the bump in resolution. Shibuya is a non-stop metropolitan kiss-marry-kill between the noise of the dialogue, the noise of passers-by, and the noise that literally wants to rip you to shreds.
Pick me. I'll be your true love.
I'll be your true love.
I'll be true. Enough.
Look, ladies, I already have a true love.
The designs, quite frankly, have no business being in 3D. You only need 2 seconds to look at Minamimoto's jacket-covered leg to realise his hip doesn't make sense, and the noise looked like some cokehead Snow White animals banged a tattoo artist's stencil. I mean, hey, singing Disney animals, no wonder they're all named after music terms. But translating the 2D look to 3D as faithfully as possible lessens any jarring effects players may feel, like how Link is recognisable in Ocarina of Time or Samus in Metroid Prime. So Neo deserves a lot of credit for sticking the landing on 3D design, when, for all intents and purposes, it should have ended up looking like Simpsons characters from the front. But what the pedestrians gained in resolution, they lost in general facial features, appearing more washed out and hollow than the first game, and making characters that are supposed to blend into the background stand out like the bit of scenery that's about to be animated in an old cartoon. They can't show you the eyes of the victim you're about to mind read, but they'll show you the credits during a game demo. Twice. Generally, Neo looks like playing a punk anime, especially in the animated cutscenes using that clean Dragon Ball FighterZ lighting that makes every frame look like a cartoon that'd make your mum to just playing outside with the other kids. But visuals, they can be a weird thing. The increased power means areas having up to 50 bystanders in the first game probably have over 100 in Neo, but it doesn't feel as claustrophobic since the camera is pointing at all the 4th floor windows. You see, the way the world is presented, it's pretty important too. In the first game and Neo, our main characters have died, but still run around town in a sort of limbo, parallel dimension, the upside down from Stranger Things kind of deal. In keeping with the scenery of the first game, and the whole off-kilter vibe, entering any area uses a warped perspective, often showing off the commercial grandeur boomers think young people are so obsessed with nowadays. It does mean certain spaces like an alleyway behind a building needs a jarring camera cut that feels a bit OG Resident Evil. But it's probably better than a fully controllable camera on a permanent wonk. The Half-Life series took a break and came back great with Alex, a VR game that made specific choices in how it presented its world for an extra dimension. The World Ends of You games have done the same by cramming in more youth culture symbols than a Drake album. I mean, they're hanging out in stores, they're going to restaurants, they care which brand their pin is. Rindo is always on his phone, chucking out more text speak than the number of times I haven't been able to work out where his face sends because of that dumb face mask strapped around his chin. I mean, seriously, if you think that face mask looks good or bad, let me know in the comments, because I really want to know. Meanwhile, I'll work out if Neo is a prequel and they have smartphones, but the other game they have flip phones. Does that mean technology is moving backwards? I mean, it can't be that flip phones are making a comeback or anything.
I see you looking. Watch what I do. Watch what I do. I see you looking. Watch what I do.
The characterization of the cast are strong and memorable across both games. Neku is standoffish and internal. Joshua is mysterious and philosophical. Yodai had constant food metaphors. Minamimoto can't stop using maths expressions. Suzukichi is obsessed with Othello. Kaiono can only talk to people by text message. And the Tin Pin Slammer Kid was clearly a Beyblade Yu-Gi-Oh ripoff! Point being, you know what these characters are about. And I can't not mention the hybrid rock soundtrack that permeates and punctuates the entire game. Rebellious, assertive, and it doesn't care whether it's not your thing, you're hearing it whether you like it or not. Knowing your tone and sticking to it through theme and characterization is how Ninja Gaiden moved from 2D to 3D. Or how the Pokemon main games took it to the next level. Eventually. But also, because despite adding a whole dimension, the gameplay was recognisable from the predecessor. So, how did Neo adapt a 14-year-old DS game swiping, tapping and mic blowing? The first game introduced a scan mode, used to read pedestrian sports for solving puzzles and kicking off battles. It returns in Neo in its full, widescreen, personally invasive glory. You can even read different people every time you activate the scan, you absolute monster. Initiating battles is different though. In the first game you'll tap one or multiple demonic bottle openers to start a fight. But in Neo, entering their vicinity makes them float towards you, which is a more fun way to gather a bunch up. Running too fast or far will cause them to drop off or not reach you before the battle triggers, and sometimes you'll get rushed by a marker when you're just trying to complete a mission. But, hey look, there's a chat log! To fight in the first game, you've got to tap and swipe the screen to attack with Neku, and press the buttons to use his partner at the same time. By timing each teammate's combo to alternate, you could pass a puck back and forth, increasing your attack power. To which I just mashed the D-pad until a big icon said I could do a special attack at some point. Neo assigns each team member to a pin type, and then each pin to a button. Timing alternative combos is called Drop the Beat this time, and you get a special attack when you fill the groove meter. So, drop the beat and groove, you've got to drop the beat and groove.
Make the body move, you got to let the body groove. Make the body move, you got to let the body groove.
Even with the added third dimension, traversal is still largely ground-based, with vertical movement only happening when attacking airborne enemies. Fights lend themselves to a rhythm and a flow, which was arguably harder to achieve in the first game, while looking impressively cool as the camera dynamically shifts to the next attacking party member, who a second ago was just standing around looking angry. Tweaking gameplay to the hardware is how Metal Gear translated stealth action to become Metal Gear Solid. And Square Enix hugely advanced a quaint little RPG series when they released this one little game, you've probably never heard of it, Final Fantasy VII. The world ends with you entered the next dimension with fresh familiarity, reviving a cult classic. And well, it can't get any worse than Bubsy 3D. Or Sharon Osbourne's face. And there we are, done for another one. But what's that coming down the Z-axis? Oh, it's the Comire Corner. And here, the Neon Caster is giving some real talk about Magenta games, a genre which celebrates diversity and inclusion, where everyone has an equal chance to get absolutely destroyed by a Japanese 13-year-old. Thank you so much for your comment. And remember, you can get featured in a future Comire Corner if you can tell me a game series you like that's been both 2D and 3D. Which game did you like best and why? Let me know down below. Chuck me a tweet. And until next time, I've been Comire. This has been Start and Select. Thank you, and good night. Every visual element contributes to a particular stylized look. Like the dark line comic book look of the world in Bleeding Edge. The broken shard style in the menus and contextual pop-ups in Destruction All-Stars. The rounded off character design in ARMS. They sell themselves and their style more than Janelle Monáe.